Morning students, today we discuss about 12th commerce subject morning video. In this morning video we start a new lesson, that is how to select employees, selection of employees in a organization. First we discuss about the definition. According to Dale Yoder, selection is the process in which the candidate for employment are divided into two classes, those who are to be offered employment and those who are not. So the author says selection is one of the process of candidate are to be employed by the employer for the right job. It can be divided into two classes, that is those person who are offered employment and those who are not offered. So in the case of David Robbins, selection is a managerial decision making process, is to predict which job applicants will be successful if hired. So while selection process is going on, it is one of the managerial decisions taken by the organization in order to find out a suitable person for the right job in an organization. Steps in the case of employee selection. Steps in the case of employee selection. That is, the first one is application blank. Most of the public sector undertaking, various ministries of government, selection commissions, recruitment boards and private sector companies either supply pre-printed application form or direct the candidate to download the forms uploaded in their respective websites. So it is one of the method of selection of employee through application blank. In the case of voluntary application submitted by the candidate, they are issued an application form afresh at the venue of the interview to collect complete information about the candidate in the standardized format. So selection can collect different types of information from the application blank, namely family background, education qualification, co-curricular activities, work experience, exposures to related activities, scale of pay drawn, academic distinction, area of expertise, and so on. So all the relevant informations which are to be collected by the bank organization from the candidate by way of a application form. And then second step is scrutinize the applications, where the applications received in response to advertisement inviting applications for opening or more, it is not possible to recruit agency to call all the applicants for interview. Hence, selection committee has to evolve some criteria like age, length of experience, level of education, percentage of marks, higher qualification, level of exposure, communication, codes, proficiency, etc. to shortlist the number of applicants for interview. So after receiving the application from the various candidate for the job in the organization will not call all the applicants for an interview. So scrutinization of application is the second process in the selection of employee. So all the applications are to be scrutinized by way of based upon their qualification, based upon their experience, based upon their percentage of marks secured and experience level, and also communication skill, and everything must be analyzed, each and every candidate, in order to shortlist the name of the candidate through various applications. So only few candidates are to be selected to call for an interview. And then selection list. Several tests are conducted in the selection process to ensure whether the candidate possesses the necessary qualification to fit for various positions in the organization. So selection test will be conducted in the organization in order to test the candidates qualifications by way of conducting the selection test. That is, there are two types of selection test are there: the ability test, personality test. In the case of ability test, there is various tests are to be conducted. In the case of ability test, that is the test designed to measure an individual cognitive function in a specific area. So in a specific area, how the candidate will be qualified, that should be identified by way of a ability test. That is such a variety of skills, mental aptitude, problem solving, knowledge of a particular field, and reasoning ability, etc. we should select. That is aptitude test. In the case of ability test, the first test is aptitude test. In aptitude test, it is to measure suitability of the candidates for the post. That is, it actually measures whether the candidate possesses a set of skill required to perform a given job. So for a given job, whether the candidate will be qualified to fit the job. It helps in predicting the ability and future performance of the candidates. That is numerical reasoning test. So in the case of numerical reasoning test, it provides information about candidates' numerical aptitude. That is, this test measures the candidate's ability to make correct decision from the numerical data. So this test will be identify whether the candidate will take a correct decision or not in certain situations. So by way of numerical data, this type of test will be conducted. Verbal reasoning test. That is, it measures the candidate's ability to comprehend the written test and the ability to arrive at factual conclusion from the written test. So from the written test, the candidate are to be identified whether they have comprehend and ability to arrive factual conclusion from the written test. Inductive reasoning test. So inductive test is one of the psychometric tests conducted in the selection process to measure the problem solving abilities and ability to apply logical reasoning. So how the problem will be solved in case arise in the business organization, that type of method will be identified by way of inductive reasoning test. Mechanical reasoning test. This test measures the engineering students' ability to apply engineering concept in the actual practice. Diagrammatic reasoning test. This test measures the candidate's ability to understand the shapes, abstract ideas, and ability to observe and extract values from illustrations and apply them to new samples. And then spatial reasoning test. This test will measure the candidate's ability to clearly manipulate and remember the shapes, still images, and find out pattern which govern the sequence. So with the help of the sequence, the candidate's remembrance of shapes will be identified from this type of a reasoning test. Situational judgment test. and this test measured the candidate's ability to choose the most desirable action in critical situations using his judging ability. Then mental arithmetic test. This test will identify the candidate's basic numerical ability like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division and fraction. Whether they qualify for these activities. How to quickly make addition, subtraction, multiplication, division and a fraction. So it tests the speed of doing calculations by manual. Then vocabulary test. That test measure the candidate's ability to recognize the relationship among the ideas, think methodically and fluency in English language. So vocabulary test will be conducted. So to test the candidates how they recognize the relationship among their ideas, various ideas, and how they can fluency in speaking the English language. Number sequence test. This measures the candidate's ability to find a logic in series or pattern. So under this test, candidates have to find out missing number in a sequence to determine the pattern. So through these various tests, all these are aptitude tests in the case of ability test. And then achievement test. This test measures the candidate's capacity to achieve in a particular field. That is, it measures the candidate level of skill in certain area. So in which area the candidate will be qualified. So that will be tested by way of achievement test. The regular examination conducted in education institution represent achievement test. It is also called as proficiency test. And this test is conducted before, during or after a learning experience. So it is a test conducted to find out the candidate's mastery over the subject, how they are mastered in their subject. So that can be identified by way of achievement test. For example, if a driver may be asked to drive a vehicle to test his driving efficiency. Music students may be asked to play a given instrument. Teacher candidate may be asked to give a demonstration. So likewise, each and every candidate, they can be identified in which area, in which field they are having some experience and some efficiency. That can be identified by way of achievement test. Then intelligence test. Intelligence tests are one of the psychological tests that is designed to measure a variety of mental ability, individual capacity of a candidate. The main aim of this test is to obtain an idea of the person's intellectual potential. So how the candidate will have a potential capacity in their field. So the psychological test will be conducted to test the intelligence of the candidate. That is to measure a variety of mental ability and also the capacity of the candidate. It can be identified through intelligence test. So with that we conclude this morning video. Students, you can go through all the topics and learn all the topics and understand and write all the topics with the answers in your commerce assignment notebook. Keep the notebook safely and bring it on school reopening day, and don't forget to send a task complete message in the group. Thank you.